I've just done one yesterday, so I can show you now how you fix a charcoal drawing. You can also use it for fixing a graphite drawing. If you've got a graphite drawing that keeps smudging because it's really soft graphite, you can fix those as well, and it locks it onto the paper so it stops smearing all the time. So this is one brand. That's not too bad. There's another one that's a black tin, which is German brand. It's a black can and it's got German words on it. Anyway, that other one is my favourite one, but it's way over at the other end of the building in my studio. So long as it's like an artist's materials, like professional artist's version. The reason I don't like Micador tends to be very, very cheap, and the way they do it is by substituting cheaper materials. And so it could be just like hairspray sort of stuff in there, or I don't know yet. It could be great. I hope it's great. But I don't use their pastels or their paints or anything because they're all not light fast. They'll fade in no time at all. So as soon as I find that about a brand, I go, what are they doing with the rest of their things? This is National Art Materials brand, and the other one, they're my two favourite brands because I know they're professional artist brands. The two brands that I often use, they'd probably be available worldwide for people who are in the US, Canada and whatnot. I think National Art Materials is... This one's made in Australia too. So this is an Australian brand, National Art Materials. But the one that I often use, the black can that I can't remember the name of, is available worldwide. It's got to be called workable fixative because then you can go back in afterwards and work again on top of it, which is lovely. So I've got this bunny rabbit charcoal that I did, and it was starting to smear everywhere. So I got my kneadable eraser and I cleaned it up first. You've got to clean up all your smudge marks, your finger marks, everything from all around, get the paper all around the outside nice and white again. And then what you do is you lay it down on the floor, and preferably outdoors, like on the garage floor, carport floor, somewhere where it's clean and it's not going to pick up grease. This is very stinky stuff and you don't want to breathe it in. But you give the can a really good shake, heaps and heaps and heaps of shaking before you go ahead and spray. You just hold it down, hold the button in, and you do light spray all over. Shh, from about that high, it's about a foot high. Shh, all over. If you go too close, the blast will blast your charcoal dust across the paper, and then this thing fixes it in that place. So you have a big spray of grey or black going across your beautiful white paper, and then it's locked in. So you keep it away so that the dust of your loose dust of your charcoal doesn't move over everywhere else. So this is really good for charcoal, pastel, because that's very loose dust, and graphite when it's really, smudgy. So you just do a single coat all over, then you let it dry. So you want to let it dry between each coat, because if you put too much on there, the paper gets really wet and it starts buckling the paper. You'll feel it, like when you lift it up, it's really soggy. You've got to let it dry between each coat. If you've got a very, very thick amount of charcoal on, like I have in his eyes here and in his forehead and around his ears here, thick layers of colour like that need at least 3 coats. So I'll generally do 3 coats over a heavy charcoal painting. I'd spray, let it dry, spray, let it dry, spray. Once it's dry again, you can go in with darker charcoal and lay more down and then do the fixing again. And that way you can end up with a really strong dark. I did it with a line. All the charcoal was coming off because I put the baking paper over the top to protect it, and all the charcoal lifted off the paper and then stuck to the baking paper. I painted it really dark with the charcoal. It went pale grey again. So what I did was I fixed it, 3 coats, 3 good coats with drying in between, and then I let it dry and I went back in with the charcoal to get the darker again. Now, when they say workable on the can, what happens is it sprays a bit of a sort of gritty surface. It's invisible, but it's a little bit sort of sandy feeling. which is fantastic because it's not slippery. Like, you know, if you used hairspray or something ridiculous like that, which you would never do because it would put oils and all sorts of rubbish on your paper. But if you used any other sort of spray stuff to lock it in, it's going to be slippery, and you try and do the charcoal and it just slips across and it doesn't grab it and put it onto the paper. But the workable part means that it's sort of slightly sandy feeling, very fine, but it means when you lay the charcoal back in, or the pastel or the graphite or whatever your medium is, it grips and grabs, so it hangs on so that it's ready for the next fixing. It stays there, it doesn't just slip and not actually glue to the paper. You can handle it, you can touch it. It's like a normal artwork that you don't have to fuss over. Yeah. So I can just put that into a protective bag and it's not going to smear on the bag.